In the endless dark sea of stars, the Valkorian Empire ruled with pride and iron control. Their fleets guarded every world. Their banners flew on 1,000 stations, and no one dared to challenge their power. To the Valkorians, they were the chosen rulers of the galaxy, perfect, untouchable, and eternal. But on this quiet night at the edge of Sector 9, something strange began to happen. Inside the massive Imperial command station orbiting a red dwarf sun, dozens of officers stared at their glowing control panels. A faint signal had appeared on their deep space scanners, a whisper of energy from nothingness. At first they thought it was an error, maybe a ghost signal or reflection from debris, but the pulse grew stronger, repeating every few seconds. Steady and deliberate, Commander Ralvin, a tall gray-skinned Valkorian, leaned over his console, his silver eyes narrowing. "Confirm source," he ordered, his voice calm but sharp. The crew worked quickly, fingers dancing over glowing keys. "No known origin," one officer said nervously. "No warp trail, no gravitational signature." "Sir," another added, "it's forming. Something is forming." Then the lights in the command room flickered. The large viewing window turned dark as the computer focused on a single point in space. Everyone fell silent. From the empty void, a faint shimmer appeared like ripples on water, but there was no light source. No heat, only distortion. Every sensor screamed with confusion. "Every reading impossible," Commander Ralvin whispered. "This is not possible." The distortion grew larger, shaping itself into a silhouette. Massive, angular, unnatural gasps filled the control room, and one young officer muttered, "Is it a wormhole?" But Ralvin shook his head. "No, this is something else." Then, as if the stars themselves parted, a massive shadow stepped out from the void, a ship, dark as the abyss. Edges glowing faintly blue, metal like living obsidian. It moved without sound, without energy trails, without any known propulsion. For a full minute no one spoke. The Empire's scanners could not identify it. Their databases returned nothing, and yet every soul on that station could feel it. Something ancient, something alive. It wasn't a pirate ship. It wasn't an Imperial experiment. It was something new. Ralvin clenched his jaw. "Send message. Demand identification." His voice cracked slightly, but his officers obeyed. A signal burst across the void toward the unknown vessel, repeating the words, "Unknown ship, you have entered Imperial space. Identify yourself or be fired upon." But the ship did not respond. No flicker of lights, no broadcast, no movement. It simply hung there, silent and calm, like a predator staring at its prey on the lower deck. Technicians began to panic. "Sir, we can't read its power core. There's no life signs, no heat. Nothing at all, like it's not even real." Another voice shouted, "Sir, it's reflecting our scans. It's studying us." Ralvin's heart raced, his alien pulse thundering in his ears. He stood before the viewport, staring at the strange craft as fear crept into his voice. "Activate full defense grid," he commanded. "Prepare plasma cannons." The station's lights turned red. Sirens wailed, and the fleet stationed nearby began to form up. 20 Imperial ships turned their weapons toward the unknown vessel, their engines glowing like angry suns. Still, the stranger did nothing. Its dark hull shimmered like glass, its surface rippling as if alive. Some of the younger officers whispered in fear. "Maybe it's a godship," one said quietly. "Or a weapon left from the First War." Ralvin silenced them with a glare. "We do not fear myths," he said, though his voice trembled slightly. Then, in a quiet moment between alarm pulses, a low hum filled the room. Every speaker on the station crackled with static. Then a soft tone echoed through. It wasn't Imperial standard, but somehow every person understood it. A single word, spoken with perfect clarity, cut through the noise. "Observe." The unknown ship moved slightly, turning toward the nearest Imperial cruiser, every weapon locked on it instantly, commanders shouting orders, fingers hovering over firing keys. But before anyone could act, the Imperial cruiser systems began to fail. Lights dimmed, weapons powered down, and the ship froze in space like a dead statue. Gasps filled the control room as data streams vanished from the display. Ralvin shouted, "What did it do?" No one knew. The alien ship, if it was even alien, had done nothing but look at them. And yet one of the Empire's strongest warships now floated lifelessly, its crew silent, its engines dead. A quiet dread spread through the command deck. The Empire had fought rebels, pirates, and ancient machines, but nothing had ever made them feel like this. This was not war, it was something deeper, something far beyond their understanding. Ralvin turned to his officers, his voice hoarse. Transmit to High Command, he said. Tell them what we've seen. But the communications officer stammered. Sir, transmission blocked. The signal's coming from the unknown ship. Everyone froze. Their screens filled with static. Then an image appeared. An emblem none of them recognized. A blue and white symbol of a world surrounded by stars. And then a voice spoke in flawless Imperial standard. Calm and human, to the Valkorian Empire. This space is not yours. The crew looked at one another. Confused and terrified, Ralvin whispered, Human? The word felt ancient. Forbidden. Something spoken only in old stories. Humans were supposed to be extinct, erased from the galaxy centuries ago. And yet before their eyes, from empty space itself, a human warship had appeared. The Empire had no idea what it meant. But deep inside every Valkorian heart, a quiet truth began to grow. Something powerful had returned. Something the galaxy had long forgotten. And for the first time in generations, the Empire felt fear. The mysterious ship hung motionless in the dark. No heat, no energy trace, not even a whisper of life. It was as if space itself had shaped a weapon and set it loose among the stars. Inside the Imperial Command Station, panic was beginning to bloom. Technicians shouted over each other. Scanners failed one after another. Even the Empire's most advanced sensors could not read the thing. It was invisible to every law of physics they knew, and yet everyone could feel it watching. Commander Ralvin stood frozen near the main viewport. His silver eyes reflected the silent shape outside. He could feel the air trembling, as if reality itself feared to touch that vessel. He turned to his officers. Bring the fleet closer, surround it. Show them who rules this sector. The words came out strong, but deep inside fear was clawing at his chest. 20 Imperial destroyers began to move, forming a shining circle around the intruder. Their cannons glowed bright, targeting systems locked. Still the ship did not react, not even a flicker of movement. Not a single light from its hull. Then a whisper moved through the command deck speakers. A soft tone, low and deep, like the voice of a storm hiding behind a mountain. Contact acknowledged. Every officer froze. The language was clear, perfect, and coldly human. The viewing glass brightened. On the screen, symbols began to appear, strange lines of light spinning into a pattern. The Imperial system tried to translate but failed. Within seconds, the alien code started to rewrite itself. Lines of blue data spreading through every Imperial console like veins of fire. Shut it down, yelled Ralvin. Cut the connection. But the computers ignored him, one by one. Control panels turned blue, filled with unknown runes, then all at once they went dark. The entire fleet went silent. Engines stopped, weapons powered down. Gravity flickered inside the station, and in that eerie silence only one sound remained, the deep, rhythmic pulse coming from the human ship, like a heartbeat echoing through space down in the engineering bay. An officer whispered, It's reading us. It's inside every system, every network. Another voice trembled. Sir, it knows our codes. It knows everything, Ralvin's mind raced. How can they do this? Then the ship outside began to move, not fast, not hostile, just a slow turn, its massive frame gliding effortlessly. For a moment, light from the nearby star caught its surface, and everyone saw it clearly for the first time. The warship was unlike anything the Empire had ever built. It was enormous, shaped like a blade wrapped in shadow. Its surface was covered in scars, burn marks, and faint writing that looked almost like names. Hundreds of names carved by hand into the metal. Names that no Valkorian could read, but every human would have understood. The Empire's admiral, watching from his flagship nearby, clenched his teeth. This is a ghost ship. Destroy it, he commanded. Fire everything. Thousands of plasma bolts burst across the dark. Blue and red fire lit up the stars. The Empire's might unleashed in one unstoppable wave. But the human ship didn't even flinch. The energy vanished before reaching it. Bending around its hull like light around a black hole, the space around it shimmered, reality bending, rewriting itself. Then the ship spoke again. Aggression detected, countermeasure initiated. A beam of soft white light spread outward. Slow and silent, it touched the first Imperial cruiser, and within seconds the ship went dark. Engines dead, power gone. The second ship followed, then the third. Not a single explosion, not a single fire, just silence. Inside the command station, Ralvin screamed, They are shutting us down! Reboot manual systems. Technicians scrambled, sweat running down their faces. But the strange blue symbols kept returning. It was as if the human ship was inside their minds, predicting every move before they made it. The lights dimmed to red emergency mode. Then across every screen a symbol appeared. An ancient blue planet surrounded by 12 stars, and beneath it, words in perfect imperial standard. We are humanity. You broke the treaty. Ralvin's heart skipped a beat. The crew stared in disbelief. Humanity? One officer whispered, but that's impossible. They were destroyed hundreds of years ago. Another muttered. If that's true, then what is that thing? Before anyone could answer, the view outside changed again. The human ship had opened something, a wide circular gate forming beneath it. Swirling with faint light within the glow, smaller ships appeared, sleek, silver, sharp like blades of light. They didn't look aggressive, but their presence filled the room with silent terror. Each one carried the same emblem. The same mark of Earth. The human AI spoke once more, its voice calm and final. This world is under Terran protection. Stand down, or be erased. The Empire had faced countless enemies, rebels, monsters, and ancient machines. But never before had anyone spoken to them with such cold confidence. No threat, no anger, only certainty. It was not the voice of a conqueror. It was the voice of someone who knew they could not lose. Ralvin gripped the edge of his console, staring at the black shape beyond the stars. He whispered to himself, "What have we awakened?" And as the human warship drifted forward, blocking out the light of the sun, the Valkorian Empire learned the meaning of fear. Because in that endless void, humanity had returned not as victims, but as gods of war cloaked in silence. The void around the human warship burned with silence. 20 Imperial ships stood frozen, their engines dead, their weapons useless, their crews whispering prayers to gods that had long abandoned them. Inside the command station, Commander Ralvin watched helplessly, sweat dripping from his forehead as every screen flickered with strange blue code. No matter what command he gave, the ship refused to obey. The human vessel controlled everything. The hum returned low and deep, echoing through every wall. Even those who did not understand sound felt it vibrating in their bones. Some fell to their knees, clutching their heads, crying out in fear. The strange pulse grew stronger until every heart in the room beat in time with it. "The rhythm of something ancient, something alive, sir," shouted the communications officer. "New energy reading, unknown type." Ralvin turned toward the viewport, and his breath caught on the hull of the human warship. Glowing lines began to appear, spreading like veins of light across its black surface. The pattern pulsed once, then twice. It wasn't just powering up, it was waking up. The Imperial Admiral on the flagship roared over the comms. "Target that ship. Fire again with everything you have left." The fleet obeyed, desperate, angry, afraid. Hundreds of plasma bolts streaked through the darkness, bright as stars being born. But the moment they reached the warship, they vanished, erased by an invisible wall of light that shimmered around the vessel like liquid glass. The human ship didn't dodge, didn't move, didn't even care. It stood still in the firestorm, and then it smiled from deep inside the black hull. A golden light began to form. It grew brighter and brighter, until the ship's shadow stretched across the entire fleet. The scanners screamed in confusion, showing readings beyond imagination. Power levels higher than any known reactor. One technician whispered, "This can't be real. No ship can hold that much energy." And yet it was then, without warning. The light collapsed into a single point beneath the ship, and a quiet voice echoed through the comms, calm, clear, human. "We gave you a chance to stand down. You refused. This is your warning." A beam of pure white energy flashed out. Silent, invisible at first, it expanded faster than thought, washing across the fleet like a wave. No explosion, no destruction, just stillness. Every Imperial ship went dark. Engines died, weapons shut down. Lights flickered out one by one. The stars themselves seemed to dim for a heartbeat. Then came the aftermath, utter, perfect silence in less than 3 seconds. The entire Imperial strike group was dead in space. No casualties, no damage, just power removed. Stripped away as if by the hand of a god. Their systems rebooted, only to find a single message glowing on every screen. "This is not war. This is remembrance." Ralvin's voice trembled as he spoke. "What are they? What kind of beings can do this?" No one answered because no one could. The human warship now drifted closer to the command station, moving with impossible grace for something so massive. Its shadow swallowed the viewing deck. And for the first time in history, Valkorian officers looked into a light that made them feel small. Then the face appeared on every monitor. A human woman's image flickered to life, her eyes glowing faintly blue, her expression calm and unreadable. She wore a uniform older than the Empire itself. Her voice echoed softly, "We are the Terran Expeditionary Force. You were warned never to cross into Sol's legacy zones. Your ships entered our graveyard." Ralvin blinked, trying to comprehend her words. "Graveyard?" he whispered. The woman nodded slowly. "This place holds what you destroyed centuries ago. The children of Earth." The image zoomed out, and for the first time they saw it. Behind the massive human ship, a field of broken vessels stretched into infinity. Old, rusted, shattered, ancient human warships, their hulls still bearing burn marks from long-forgotten battles. Each one silent, drifting like ghosts among the stars. It wasn't an attack zone, it was a memorial. The humans had been guarding it all this time. Ralvin felt a shiver crawl down his spine. All the legends, all the forbidden stories of the human uprising. It was all true, and now their descendants had returned, armed with technology that defied logic. He whispered to himself, they never died. They were waiting. The woman's image flickered once more. "We do not seek vengeance," she said, her voice softer now. "But every empire that forgets its sins must face its past." Her eyes glowed brighter. "You have seen our warning shot. Do not make us aim." The communication ended, and the warship turned away, its engines ignited in complete silence, bending space as it disappeared back into the void, in the emptiness it left behind. The Empire's ships floated dead and powerless. The only light was the soft reflection of a blue planet symbol on their shattered screens. It was the mark of Earth, the symbol of humanity reborn. As the silence stretched, Commander Ralvin fell to his knees. He whispered, half in awe, half in terror, "They warned us once before, and we didn't listen." Now he finally understood. The humans had not returned for war. They had returned for justice. And the galaxy would never be the same again. Because somewhere far beyond the Empire's reach, the people of Earth were awake, and this was only their first whisper. The human warship vanished into the dark, leaving behind silence so deep that even the stars seemed to hold their breath. For a long moment, no one aboard the Imperial command station moved. No one spoke. No one even dared to breathe. Every officer stood frozen, staring at the place where the impossible ship had disappeared. A warship from a species that should not exist. Commander Ralvin's hands trembled as he stared at the shattered monitors. On every screen, one symbol still glowed faintly, the blue planet surrounded by 12 stars. The mark of Earth, a world the Empire had erased from every history book centuries ago. "Find me everything," Ralvin whispered. "Every record, every mention, every rumor." The officers hesitated. "Sir," one said quietly, "accessing ancient data is forbidden. It's sealed under Imperial Code Sigma Black." Ralvin's voice hardened. "Then break it." The room filled with the low hum of ancient systems booting up. Dusty archives long forgotten flickered to life. Old files, corrupted images, fragments of text in lost dialects, and slowly, the truth began to rise from the ashes of time. Centuries ago, long before the Valkorian Empire's golden age, humanity had been everywhere. They had built colonies across the stars, shared knowledge freely, created peace where others built walls. But they were too strong, too fast, too unpredictable. The early empires feared them, feared their will, their emotion, their unity, and so they decided to end them, the purge of Sol, the hidden war that no school dared to teach. The day when 10 allied species turned against humanity. Entire fleets surrounded Earth, burning its sky for 7 days and nights. The oceans boiled, the cities turned to ash, and billions of humans vanished in fire. When the smoke cleared, the stars went silent. The victors erased every trace of humanity. They deleted Earth from the maps, destroyed monuments, banned even the mention of the word human, and the Valkorian Empire rose from those ashes, pretending they had always ruled. But now, as the forbidden data scrolled across the screens, every officer felt the same cold truth. Humanity had not died, they had escaped. Ralvin stared at the images, old ships fleeing into deep space, carrying the last survivors of Earth. Children, engineers, soldiers leaving behind their burning home. One transmission played through the static. A voice, young, human, determined. "If we die free. If we live, we remember." And one day, the galaxy will remember too. Silence filled the room again. No one could speak. The Empire's proud history was built on lies. They had become gods in a galaxy built on murder. Then a new signal broke through the comms, one that wasn't Imperial. It was the same calm human voice from before, echoing through every ship, every station in the sector. We warned your ancestors once. You erased our home, our people, our name, but the stars remember. Even when you try to forget, across the fleet, screens began to show images. Earth before the war, green forests, blue oceans, cities shining under golden sunlight. For the first time in generations, the Valkorians saw beauty without control. Without conquest, they saw what they had destroyed. And in their hearts, something cracked. The Emperor himself, far away on the throne world, received the same broadcast. His council panicked, screaming for the signal to be cut, but it could not be stopped. Every world under the Empire's flag saw the same message. Every citizen saw what their rulers had buried, and fear began to turn into guilt. In the command station, Ralvin whispered, "They were never gone. They were waiting for us to look." His words trembled with awe and shame. He had believed the Empire was eternal, but now he understood. Humanity was the shadow beneath their throne. Then the lights flickered again. A new transmission came through, this time direct from the human warship. The image of the same woman appeared, her blue eyes burning like stars. "This is not vengeance," she said. "This is history correcting itself. We do not seek your destruction, but your honesty. Tell your people the truth. Tell them what you did to Earth." Ralvin swallowed hard. "And if we refuse?" The woman's expression did not change. "Then we will return," she said quietly. And this time not to talk. The signal ended, and the station fell into darkness. Ralvin looked around the room, his crew pale, silent, terrified. For the first time in his life, he did not see soldiers. He saw survivors of a lie. He turned to the viewport, gazing into the endless void where the human warship had vanished. His voice barely a whisper. "They could have destroyed us in seconds, but they didn't." He closed his eyes. "They wanted us to see." And across the galaxy, on hundreds of Imperial worlds, people began to question their history. They began to ask forbidden questions. Whispers turned into murmurs, murmurs into voices, and within days, entire planets demanded the truth. The Emperor's grip began to shake, for fear had become knowledge. And knowledge could not be erased again. Somewhere, deep beyond the edge of known space, the Terran warship Vengeance drifted silently beside a field of ancient wrecks. Inside, holograms of old Earth played in soft light. Children laughing, oceans roaring, voices singing through time. The human captain stood before the window, watching the galaxy tremble. Her AI spoke softly beside her. "They remember now." She nodded, her voice a whisper. "Good. Because this is only the beginning." And as the ship's engines flared with blue light, vanishing once more into the darkness, the stars seemed to tremble in silence. For the galaxy had finally seen the truth, and humanity, once burned, once forgotten, had risen again, not as victims, but as the living memory of fire. Across the vast galaxy, silence had turned to whispers, and whispers had turned to fire. Every Imperial world that saw the human transmission trembled, not from war, but from the truth. For centuries, the Valkorian Empire had ruled by fear, but fear was fading, replaced by something far more dangerous. Doubt on the throne world of Valakar Prime. The Emperor sat in his golden hall, surrounded by trembling advisors. The screens before him played the forbidden images again and again. The blue planet, the human faces, the voices saying, "We remember." He shouted in rage, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Cut the signal! Destroy every record!" But it was too late. The truth had already reached billions. In the lower cities, people gathered around flickering hollows, watching the human message on loop. Some cried, some knelt, some simply stared in silence. Old legends whispered by elders now stood proven. The lost species. The Earthborn, the Fire Children, they were real. And they had returned, meanwhile, far from the capital, on the cold frontier worlds. Imperial soldiers began refusing orders. Messages spread through secret channel. They lied to us. Humanity was never the enemy. The gods of war are real. Entire battalions laid down their arms, refusing to fight for a throne built on lies. The Empire's chains were beginning to crack. Inside the Imperial command station where it all began, Commander Ralvin stood alone before the silent viewport. He had not slept in days, his mind still echoing with the human's words. This is not vengeance. This is history. The stars before him looked different now. Colder, smaller, he whispered to himself. We built our empire on ashes, and now the ghosts have come to collect. Suddenly, the alarm screamed, the operator shouted. Multiple warp signatures, unknown origin. Ralvin's eyes widened. How many? The voice came back, trembling. Too many, sir. Hundreds! He rushed to the viewport, and what he saw stole the breath from his lungs. Space itself tore open in streaks of light. One after another, massive shapes appeared, human ships. Sleek, silent, each marked with the blue planet symbol. Not one warship this time, but a fleet. Dozens of titans drifting through the void, their hulls glowing with pale blue energy. They moved in perfect formation, without sound, without signal, like a single mind. The largest of them dwarfed even the Empire's capital dreadnoughts. Its name shimmered faintly on the hull. TSS Resolute, Ralvin whispered. They're here. And in that moment, every Imperial world went dark. Communications failed, sensors jammed, skies flickered with auroras of strange energy. Human technology spread like a silent storm, shutting down everything the Empire controlled. No shots were fired, no blood was spilled, and only silence. And fear. Then the voice came again, broadcast across every frequency. It was calm, soft, unmistakably human, to the Valkorian Empire. You stand accused of genocide, of lies, of crimes written into the bones of the stars. We will not destroy you. We will let your truth destroy you. On Valakar Prime, riots erupted. Citizens tore down Imperial banners, shouting the words they had once feared to speak. Freedom for all. Statues of emperors fell, the golden halls burned. The truth had become fire, and no fleet could stop it. The emperor ordered his final fleet to strike. Hundreds of ships rose from the capital world, forming what they called the last wall. They faced the approaching human fleet with everything the Empire had left. Ralvin watched from the command screen as two forces stood in silence. The Empire, proud, desperate, broken in humanity. Silent, calm, unshakable. Then, without a word, the humans acted, the stars bent. The void shimmered, and the Imperial fleet simply stopped. Every weapon turned off, every engine silenced. The human AI's voice filled every cockpit. Stand down. We do not seek conquest. We seek memory. The battle that was supposed to end humanity ended the Empire instead, not through war, but through truth. The Valkorian ships powered down, their crews surrendering willingly. And as the humans passed through their lines, no one fired, many even saluted, out of respect. Out of awe, out of fear, the TSS Resolute hovered above the throne world, its shadow covering the Imperial palace. For a long, eternal minute, no one moved. Then a beam of light descended, projecting an image into the Emperor's hall. The same human woman, calm as ever, her eyes glowing blue. You built your power on our graves, she said softly. Now you will live to see what rises from them. The Emperor sank to his knees, his crown falling from his trembling hands. He whispered, "What are you going to do?" The woman looked at him with pity, not anger. "Nothing," she said. "Your people will decide what becomes of you." And with that, the light vanished. The human fleet began to pull away, one by one fading back into the dark. No cities were bombed, no worlds destroyed. They left behind only silence and the truth. In the days that followed, rebellions rose across the galaxy. Worlds that had once knelt before the Valkorians now declared themselves free. And on every wall, in every sky, one symbol began to appear. A blue planet surrounded by 12 stars, the mark of Earth, the sign of hope from deep space. Aboard the TSS Resolute, the human captain watched as the Empire's cities lit up in revolt. Her AI spoke beside her. "The Empire collapses, Captain." "What now?" She smiled faintly, eyes glowing with reflected starlight. "Now we rebuild," she whispered. "Not just humanity, but everything they tried to erase." And as the fleet disappeared once more into the silent void, a message echoed across the stars, soft but unending. "We are humanity. We were forgotten, but we never died. We remember." The Valkorian Empire had fallen. The galaxy had changed, and in the darkness of space, the legend of humanity burned brighter than 1,000 suns. Humanity had returned. And this time the stars would never forget.